whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
It is a Monday before another stormy day around the Bay Area. I am Nikki Medoro. This is the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube starting at noon Pacific, or you can watch the replay anytime you want to. We are going to get a little bit serious to start the show, of course, because another day in America and another school shooting. And this comes in the shadow of House Republicans passing H.R. 5, the Parental Bill of Rights, which on one hand, I don't have too much of a problem with in some aspects. On the other hand, it's the GOP coming up with these ideas. And so, of course, it has to go off the rails. But just these two things, kind of protecting our children in school, which worries you more? Books like The Bluest Eye or guns on campus and in our community? So we'll definitely be getting into that. Also, I want to get into digital blackface. Kim McAllister, when she joins us over from the Mark Thompson Show, she brought this article to my attention. It was from CNN, and I don't know how I feel about it. I want to get into it. I really am open to hearing your guys' comments about digital blackface, because the first time when I read the article, I was like, this is ridiculous. We've gone, jumped the shark on stuff like this, but I am willing to listen, because maybe I'm missing something here. And so I just want to preface that by saying I don't know everything, but it sounds odd to me. Who has a gym membership, and how much would you pay for something like that? Because there's a new trend apparently happening, and I still think it's just going to be money wasted. All right, before we get into that and so much more, please click the thumbs up button. We always do it to start the show. It's right at the bottom of your screen. Just click it once. Clicking it 50 times does nothing, and then you might turn it off, which is no bueno. So just click it once, thumbs up. The super chat is also live. It's a way for you guys to throw either a super thanks, a super sticker, a comment, along with a couple of dollars that go to myself and goes to Kim. And so the super chat's there. Just look for the $sign. And then thank you to everybody that's been donating more and more to the Patreon and becoming Medorable, as I love to call you guys. So just go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. Our Patreon link is right there. And I really do appreciate it, whether it's $5, $25, $50 a month, whatever you can do. And if you can do a little bit more, if you've been supporting the show and you enjoy it and you want us to keep doing it, please consider doing that. Our PayPal is up. The email, it's the same email to reach me, thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. And then we have new merch. If you're part of my Patreon, you got the alert. I also put it on social media, thenikkimedoroshop.com. It's freezing cold. Oh my God, was it cold this morning? And we have a new blanket. It's like a throw blanket. It has like a silky touch to it. And so it's up on the merchandise website, thenikkimedoroshop.com. thenikkimedoroshop.com. And I just always appreciate all of you joining into the show. Okay. It's not the way I want to start the show. Nobody wants to start about talking about another school shooting. But I mean, we all go through the same machinations, right? It's almost on autopilot how we talk about this nowadays. But because I was going to start the show talking about HR 5, it's just these two different issues that have to do with kids at school. And what worries me when I hug and kiss my kids and send them off to school. And if I had to have a list of the crap I was worried about, guns would be at the top. And reading about a same-sex couple in a book, or gender studies, or transgender athletes would be so close to the bottom. Because I just want my kid to be safe at school. Okay, so now the information is still coming in. If you're just learning about it, which I'd be shocked if you're just hearing about it. I should not be breaking the news, of course. is that 3 students and 3 adults were killed. Now, this is at a parochial school in Nashville, Tennessee, a Christian school. The shooter is also dead. A female, which is in and of itself shocking. It's most often, not always. I mean, there's times throughout history there have been female shooters. Now, it wasn't in a school, but the San Bernardino mass shooter, one of them was female. Now, they thought that she was a teenager. Apparently, she looked young, but she was armed. She's 28 years old, so definitely not a teenager. A 28-year-old woman was there, armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. 2 assault-style weapons and a handgun. And you brought it to a school that has pre-K through 6th graders. Like, what the hell? I just, obviously, people are like, well, we have to look and see if mental illness played a role. Obviously. That is a given. All right? And I'm tired of that being the de facto excuse for, why we can't do anything about guns. If I was in a household with somebody that had a mental illness, I would not have a weapon anywhere in the house. And I would not think that I was losing my constitutional rights because of it. I'm not a moron. Obviously, this woman was able to get her hands on a gun. Many guns. And thought to herself, I'm going to go to this school. And at least at this point, I don't know the connection, if she has one, to the school. But she went to a school, an elementary, not even middle school. I mean, I don't consider a 6th grade can be middle school, but pre-K through 6th. Like, what? Who at that school is a threat to you? Right? I mean, so this isn't a time to try to make sense of it. There is no making sense of it. There's no making sense of why this woman, which again is very shocking, but there's no making sense of what happened. But there's also no making sense of why we can't do anything about it. I'm going to show you this picture. And honestly, sometimes I don't even want to do the, I honestly thought I'm not even going to cover it. But then I was like, no, children and adults died, and we are going to do it, and we're going to keep doing it because we need to get through to people. But look at this. The U.S. has by far the highest child and teen firearm mortality rates among peer countries. These are rates per 100,000 for kids 1 through 19. The United States, 5.6. The next highest is Canada. We're 5.6. They are 0.8. Canada is not that different from us in other ways. Look at that. I don't know how anybody can look at this statistic, and this is from the Kaiser Foundation, Family Foundation, and not know what could it be? What could the United States have a problem with that other countries don't? And it's the guns, morons. It's the guns. I'm not calling you guys morons. I'm just the people that don't seem to be able to connect the friggin' dots, right? It's like, it's the guns. It's the access to guns. Stop blaming mental health. Stop blaming all of these other things because other countries have them. We say this all the time. I mean, God, I should just go back, probably not that long ago, tragically, and just pull the show from the last school shooting and just air that. Because then his thoughts and the prayers. Let me show you this other picture. Who is it? Okay, so this is Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. This is his Christmas card from December. And you wonder why certain weapons are weapons of choice. Now, is there anything specific, significantly different from this type of rifle to another one? It's the glorification of guns. And then you glorify something, and then when someone's off their friggin' rocker, what do you think they're going to go grab? Stop it. And I guess the thing that pisses me off most about it is the GOP acts like they're the one that wants to protect the family. Watch them today. Watch them this week, right? They'll bend themselves into pretzels to not try to admit the one thing that we all know. It's the guns. No, and I always preface this because I want to be honest with you guys. Yes, I'm okay with people owning guns. Yes, my husband is a gun owner. I am not. I do not have one weapon registered to my name. I don't see anything wrong with responsible gun ownership. My problem is the amount of guns and the ease in which people not only can have them, but keep them. That you have to go through hoops, that there's not enough manpower to go and remove said guns from people's homes. And not only that, you know the thing that also chaps my hide the most? Is the people that will still defend it simply because it's in the Constitution. I firmly believe that if there was a way for our founding fathers to be in 2023 and see all this nonsense and look at those statistics, they would look at Washington, D.C. and these moron politicians and be like, well, why didn't you just change the laws? Why didn't you create more restrictions? Oh, well, that's not what you founding fathers wanted. Well, don't be an idiot. Obviously, if you're seeing X, Y, and Z happen, then you do something about it. I mean, and I don't understand why that's so hard for us to come to terms with. This whole fear of they're coming for your guns when they haven't. Anybody in the chat had randomly with Obama or Biden being like, I want your gun. Give me your gun. That does not happen. It is a false story to make gun owners afraid and to get them all riled up to vote certain ways. They're going to come for your guns. It takes a good gun to take out a bad guy, or a good guy with a gun to take out a bad guy with a gun. As if it matters. As if the blood of these kids and these adults at this latest school shooting give two craps about that. They just wanted to go to school. They just wanted to go to work. That's it. I mean, it's just insane. And okay, I got to go through some of these. I just do. I mean, it's driving me nuts. The defending of it. Okay, let's just go through it. The Lady Beatrice says we need mandatory psych evaluations for gun purchases and red flag laws. We have some of those. We have to embolden people to use it. And not only do we need to embolden people to use it, but we need to have the police and a system in place to actually go out and get the guns. It does no good for, let's say, a judge to say, okay, you got to get the guns out of that. We saw it with domestic violence, right? Those that are convicted of domestic violence or felonies are not allowed to have guns in their homes. Who's getting those guns? Who's making sure that they don't have guns? And can we stop taking the word of the person that's supposed to lose their gun, as fact? Oh yeah, I got rid of them. That doesn't make any sense. Vilma, you're absolutely correct. Every day we don't protect our kids. We pick guns over kids' lives. Again, guns are inanimate objects. It's the person behind the object committing the crime. Of course, John. Of course it is. But I will say this. The ease in which you can get a gun makes that person use it. I mean, of course it is. Of course, it's just like a car or antifreeze, right? I mean, antifreeze, poison in and of itself, it's just sitting there. But you put child safety locks on things and you do things to reduce the instances in which someone can use it in a way that can hurt themselves or others. That makes sense. It makes sense. Mindy says a woman shooter. We need to learn more about her and her motivation. It is very odd to see a woman be a school shooter. It's not ever happened. It has happened in the past is what I'm trying to say. Because I saw some people online mentioning, I want to say it maybe happened in the 70s. It could have happened in between that. And I mentioned San Bernardino, not a school shooting, but still a mass shooting in which a woman was involved. Nid says many people with mental illness have enablers. I don't get it, but it's real. You can't protect the kids. You can do something about controlling the guns. That's what I think so too. Yeah, Kevin, that's a great question. Why aren't churches leading marches against guns? I don't know. Why aren't they? Oh, and I was showing this graph, and Nick says Canada is only next to us on the list because of their proximity to us. Here again is that stat. Per 100,000 children ages 1 to 19, 5.6 in the United States of deaths by guns for kids. Canada 0.8. And I think you might be right. I mean, you might be right. John says banning guns won't stop the shootings, but making it harder to get them will. Large magazines are really a non-issue because you can't really make them hard to get. I don't know what the answer is. We have to make it harder. We have to make it harder. John, it is easy to get a gun. It is. Waiting does not make it hard. Okay? Time does not make it hard. It doesn't. Filling out applications does not make it hard. You know what makes it hard is going back and making sure that that person still should have a gun. That makes it hard. But we don't do that. We don't do that. Right? I mean, yeah, we have red flag laws. But then all of a sudden people will come out of the woodwork and being like, oh, he's going to have his gun taken away because some chick is mad at him. He's going through a divorce and now he's going to lose his gun. As if it's an appendage. It's ridiculous. Yeah, exactly. And it was a joke, Kim, but it's so true. Chris Rock says, make bullets $500 a piece. That would stop mass shootings. You'd mean it. You'd mean it. Mike says, I've said it before. We need to start mirroring the gun laws of other countries. How about Canada? Yeah. I mean, what was it? Australia that had they got rid of all assault weapons after they had a massive school shooting. Nobody pushed back. You know, they still have crime. They're still able to, handle society. Didn't all go to hell in a handbasket. All right, let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. And I know Kim's having a bit of a cold still, 5 days into her cold. So
this thing is getting worse and not better. I'll tell you.
I'm going to go easy on you. I'm going to go easy, but I did want to welcome you to the show.
Hi.
Yeah, I said I didn't want to start with this because obviously it's just going to go in the same circles that it always does. I don't think that anything that hasn't already been said is going to get said and it's going to change anything.
No.
But there was this.
This is a normal day in America.
This is a normal day in America. But listen to this woman. Okay, so first I want to share my screen. So whenever there's something like this, the press show up, and so they're out there. And watch what happens as this reporter is setting himself up for a live shot, which is being out there.
Aren't you guys tired of covering this? Aren't you guys tired of being here and having to cover all of these mass shootings? I'm from Highland Park.
Okay, so it'll keep going. Just stay with it.
Family vacation with my son, visiting my sister-in-law. I have been lobbying in D.C. since we survived a mass shooting in July. I have met with over 130 lawmakers. How is this still happening? How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them? Gun violence is the #1 killer of children and teens. It has overtaken cars. Assault weapons are contributing to the border crisis and fentanyl. We are arming cartels with our guns and our loose gun laws. And these shootings and these mass shootings will continue to happen until our lawmakers step up and pass gun safety legislation.
Exactly. So someone interviewed her. Now, if you didn't catch it, she survived a mass shooting, went on vacation to Nashville, and then got she wasn't caught up in it, but she was there. Hold on. I have the other one. Oh, do I have the other? Oh, here it is. And here she's being interviewed about it.
My name is Ashby Beasley. I'm from Highland Park, Illinois. I was actually in town just on vacation, but I'm a mass shooting survivor. My son and I survived a mass shooting in Highland Park where there was a shooting at a parade that we were at. And we ran for our lives. And this is just unacceptable. It's only in America can somebody survive a mass shooting and then go on vacation to visit another person that they have met through, fighting for gun safety, and find themselves at involved near another mass shooting. Only, you know what I mean? Only in America.
Only in America. It is not a list we want to be at the top of, but we are again and again and again and again. Now, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee tweets out, of course, I'm closely monitoring the tragic situation at Covenant and the Department of Safety and Highway Patrol are assisting. As we continue to respond, please join us in praying for the school, congregation, and Nashville community. And it's that whole thoughts and prayers, which, yes, of course. And I'm not even saying this jokingly. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to these people. This is tragedy. Of course, that is a given. But do something. Do something. And they won't. And so our children are just going to continue to die. And so I ask you, what scares you more when you send your kids to school? Is it, they're going to read books that talk about periods in 4th grade? Is it, a drag queen might read them a storybook? They might talk about gender. Is that what scares you as a parent? That? No. This scares me. It sucks that when I give my son a big old hug goodbye, I say a prayer, because it's my reality. It's a reality that it could happen. It's not, oh my God, it would never happen. It's so minuscule. No, it's not. This was a private Christian school. Okay, so all of you, it's public schools and not enough funding. I'm pulling my kid out. I'm going to send him to private. Knock yourself out. Guns don't care. Nuts don't care that get guns and want to shoot up children. They don't care. Obviously. Side doors are still open apparently in private schools, just like public schools. It's the guns, people. It's the guns. Stop with any other excuse. It is nothing else. Oh, this mental illness. Fine. Don't let mentally ill people have such easy access to guns. Strengthen the gun laws, because we have too many crazy people, apparently. If they want to say, and the members of the GOP want to say, it's not a gun problem, it's a mental health problem in this country, fine. Then the whole country is sick and we can't have guns right now, because you wouldn't go to a mental hospital and hand out a bunch of AR-15s. Okay? So if one is true, then the other is true. If it's solely mental illness, then don't allow us to have guns anymore, because we can't get it together. I don't know why we can't do it. I don't know why it has to be this piecemeal stuff all of the time. Oh, we're going to have a listening session. We're going to talk about what went wrong. We're going to do all of these things.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. I
told you the other day that I got into it with somebody on Facebook. You know, when we're talking about that, like those moments where you should say nothing and just keep scrolling.
Right.
But somehow you say something. And then it turns into this. You've started a flame war on Facebook with somebody you don't even know.
Exactly. And
I said something about, they were talking about the Constitution is as it should be written. And I said, or is written as it should be, or whatever. It's written and that's how it should stay. I said, well, the framers of the Constitution gave us the opportunity to amend. So they knew that it wasn't going to be perfect, that it should change and flex with time. The person said, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you're one of those hysterical women that cries over school shootings as if they happen all the time or whatever.
They do. They do.
That's the argument. When you talk about a school shooting, or you talk about what's wrong with the America of guns, the only argument is, especially for a mom, it's kind of a put down, you know, because there's no logical thought process. There's no real ability to think there. It's only you're emotional, you're hysterical. So your opinion doesn't matter. Well, how many kids do you want to kill? I mean, how many of our babies have to die? Do you think that we shouldn't be emotional about that? Do you
it's
think
when we lose the emotion that we're really dead as a country?
And that's what's happening. It should be outrageous that at a preschool through 6th grade school, any school, high school, college, I don't care.
Anywhere. Yes, anywhere.
That the young people of America are dying. And we now, it's par for the course in America. The feelings of despair and depression that we felt when Sandy Hook happened,
Mhm.
We're way past that.
Oh, yeah,
We're way past that.
absolutely.
And I'm not saying ban guns in America. I'm saying whatever you got to do to fix this problem so that when I send my kid to school, I'm not worried about it,
Mhm.
so that the mothers of America can feel better again, so that the kids of America can stop dying at school,
Mhm.
then that's what you got to do to fix it.
But they won't do it. They're too scared. They're too
No,
scared about losing their jobs. They're too scared of doing common sense things. They're too
No.
scared of all of it, of, having to admit that maybe we should do something now. But no, they're too busy. They're too busy fighting nothing, creating divisions within our schools where there don't need to be any. House Republicans passed H.R. 5. They call it the Parental Bill of Rights Act. Some of the things it would do: require schools to publish core studies and a list of books kept in libraries, because that's feasible, but whatever. Every single book in a library apparently has to be listed so that parents will read every single one and make an informed decision about whether or not they want their child to read it. Yeah, right. What else will it do? It has to affirm parents' ability to meet with educators and speak at school board meetings and examine school budgets. I don't mind if a parent talks at a school board meeting, but they have to prove that they have a kid at that school. How about that? You have to have a child at that school or a grandchild. Okay. You have to at least have a little skin in the game. Not that you're a damn troll. Yeah. Here is Kevin McCarthy, because this again is his top priority right now, talking about H.R. 5.
And what's very interesting is that the Democrats thought it was too extreme. That the Democrats believe that parents shouldn't have a say in their kids' education and to actually know what the reading material is. Democrats believe that was extreme. Democrats didn't believe that in this bill we say parents have a right to be heard, that they should be able to go to school board meetings and not be called terrorists, that they could have a say, but Democrats thought that was too extreme. Parents should have a right to know where their tax dollars are being spent in the schools, the budgets, but Democrats thought that was too extreme. In this bill, we protect the children's privacy, that the data can't be sent around, that parents should know what they do with it, but Democrats thought that was too extreme. We thought parents should know if there's any violent activity on campus, not just to your child, but to any, so you'll be warned. But Democrats thought that was too extreme. Today was a win for every mother, every father, but most importantly, for every student in America. You have a Parents' Bill of Rights now. But unfortunately, the Democrats are too extreme to believe that parents should have a say in their kids' education.
He's so full of crap. I don't know. And I know that not every school or school district is the same. So I'm going to preface my comment about this Parental Bill of Rights with that statement. I have so many opportunities to learn about what my kid is learning. I get emails sent home all of the time. I could walk, obviously after getting a pass, into the school, help out in the library, read some of the books. The Parental Bill of Rights is allowing, not terrorists, and I don't think parents that go to school board meetings should be called terrorists, but if you're going to be threatening, and if you're only going to school board meetings and you don't even live in the district or have a kid in the district, then you're being there to troll, right? Then you have this political motivation and ideology that you're trying to promote. You have kids in the school, speak up, be involved. Volunteer at your kid's school. Understand what's going on. Read the syllabus. Read your children's email. Go to parent-teacher conferences. Go to back-to-school night. Those are the ways in which parents can truly be involved. And if you don't do any of those things and still think you need a Parental Bill of Rights, then I don't think you've been doing your job as a parent. And you're just looking for something to blame or complain about. Now, Al Anonymous says, blame the media and legislators. They enabled and allowed Americans to be desensitized to news. When everything is breaking news, then they lose depth. Now, I'll agree with the second part of the statement. I've always maintained that the 24-hour news channel, that whole model, is stupid. Okay. There needs to be a break, but nope. God forbid we ever get a break from the news. No, everything's breaking. Everything's developing. Even if the story has been, this story about Nashville will be breaking news on CNN and on Fox all day long, as if it's breaking constantly. Now, this is huge news. I'm not saying that, But what has to be breaking, if something always has to be breaking, I'll agree with. But I don't want to become desensitized to something. I also just don't know how to, and I'm just speaking as a person and not a member of the quote unquote media. How do you give serious tragedies due attention, the needed attention, without leading to what Al Anonymous calls, desensitizing? I mean, I think that has to be a personal thing.
What do you want me to do? I mean, I need to report the news. I need to tell
Right.
you what's happening in America today. I need
Yeah.
to give you the facts. I need to say, here's what happened. Unfortunately, in doing that, day after day after
Mhm.
day, you're going to get desensitized to the violence. Does that mean that I shouldn't tell you about it?
No, of course you
Because
have
that
to.
can't be a solution.
People need to get off the phones and get off the TVs and get offline, especially on days like today. Part of you wants to absorb all the information, right? What's the latest? What do we know about the gun? Like all of these sorts of things. You have to protect you, though. And that's why I think there's a problem with the 24-hour news channel, because people will keep it on like it's background noise. And you have to just shut it off. Wait until all the information comes out. Wait a day. You can have the conversation, but the kids are watching. They're online. They're on their social media apps, scrolling. So it's not a desensitization. It's the information never stops. And that I will blame on the media. It never stops. It's always happening. And it is that 24-hour news cycle. Oh, we have to say news never stops. Why? Do you want to know, Kim? And this was before the school shooting was, and I know we'll do your news in a moment, and maybe it'll be in your news. I was watching, I think it was either Channel 2 or ABC 7 this morning. I think it was Channel 2. And if you saw the interview with the mother whose 6-year-old daughter was killed in that accident in front of her school.
Fairfield. Oh, Fairfield?
Was it Fairfield? It was a black woman, a cute little black 6-year-old girl.
Oh, no, this is an 11-year-old. Was hit in a crosswalk in front of the school.
This was not, it wasn't a designated. I think it might have been Fairfield. Maybe we're thinking, I thought it was maybe it was a 6th grader, an 11-year-old 6th grader. The interview with this mother broke my heart. She's like, we need to do something. We need to get more school crossing guards. We need to do all of these things because they had to take their poor daughter off of life support.
Yeah, she said it was the hardest decision she ever made.
Oh my God. Now I will tell you this, and I'm only bringing this up because of the media, and it's because this was the part of my job I hated the most. I know that you wanted to express that we need to get crossing guards and more safety at that intersection. That mother was broken. And I just feel that wasn't the time to put a camera in her face along with a microphone. And they're always been done that way. How do you feel?
Feeling?
Well,
how do you think I feel?
What do you want to change? I want the road to be safe. All of these questions we already know the answer to. And that, if we're going to be talking about the media and what we do, it's at a person's lowest point, there's a microphone in their face and a camera. And just to make sure you get the tears, oh, that's great video. Did you see how much she was crying? My heart was breaking. I was crying getting ready for work this morning because this poor woman was sobbing on camera because she just had to pull the plug on her daughter. And I'm like, why are we watching this? That's all I kept saying. I'm like, I feel for her. I'm empathetic for her. I'm so sorry this happened to her. But
let her have her private moment.
And a second later, I was like, why is there a camera in her face?
Right.
Why do we do this? And so I'm just bringing that up because of the comments about the media and the news. And I know, because Kim, we're part of it. Like I was sent to so many tragedies. I was sent to so many tragedies as a reporter where the body was still there.
Yep.
And that is sick. In a way, if you think about it, because what are we serving? What does it serve us as a society to see the body, the sheet covered body, the sobbing mother? What does it do for us?
Because we want to know. We want to know right now. We want to know everything. We want to have it first. Yeah.
So yeah,
by the way, that's why my sister quit news.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that quit news because of that.
She said I couldn't go. She worked for ABC 7 in San Francisco. As a reporter, she said I couldn't go with my camera person,
all the time.
and try to get people to say, what do you want the world to know about your, deceased child? What do you want
hated
people
it.
to know
Oh,
about the husband you just lost or the wife you just lost or whatever loved one? She said it wasn't helping anything.
no.
She
And I
said she
hated
wasn't
it.
helping the world. Right.
And every time my either producer or news director would be like, "We need you to go cover this thing." When I worked in Sacramento, and yes, Mindy, I was a reporter a lot long, well, like possibly half the time, before I became an anchor. Every time my news director knew I hated it. She knew how much I hated it. I'm like, why? And I would always say it, and she's like, "We need it. You need to go. Just get a couple sound bites. Just get a little bit." And I'm like, "What? How do you think they feel?" I would always say that. I'd be so pissed off. And I'd be like, "You're sending me out there to ask the question that nobody wants to answer. How do you think they feel? They feel terrible. They're devastated. I don't need to subject somebody to that." And they would be felt, "Well, yes, Nikki, we know. Go get it." And it sucks. It sucks. All right. You guys can continue to comment. We'll read your comments. Kim's going to do some quick news. But yeah, it's just schools are a place where our kids are supposed to be safe. I'm just going to say this. Okay. They're supposed to be a place where we send our kids to be safe, that everything outside of schools could be terrible, but we don't have to worry about that getting in the door. And that's not true anymore. And I think that as Americans, because it's not happening in other countries, as Americans, it's up to us to do something about it. And so we need to call out these BS politicians that are too chicken to really speak the truth. And the truth is so obvious. It's the guns. And you will never convince me otherwise. I'm not saying take them away from everybody, but we need more restrictions, way more rules and regulations. You will never convince me otherwise. All right. We're going to do some news with Kim. When we come back after Kim's news, we'll switch gears a bit. I have a couple of email news, a big email sent out to Disney employees today from former and now current CEO Bob Iger. A bunch of people are being laid off. There's also a separate kind of Disneyland story and I know Kim McAllister goes to Disneyland way more often than I have ever gone to Disneyland.
Huh.
And it's getting to the point where I don't know who's going to be able to go. Elon Musk was waking up some of his employees at 2:30 in the morning with an email. I would never get that email. I am not that addicted to my phone to be checking email at 2:30 in the morning. And then I'll show you a video of something that may have ended up in your email box, and email etiquette and all that sort of stuff is coming up. In the second part of the show, I want to get into digital blackface. Is this outrage looking for a source of said outrage? Because I'm going to be completely open to opinions on this, because when I read the story, I was like, you have to be kidding me. This is absolutely ridiculous. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it really is offensive when people participate in digital blackface. Okay, so click that thumbs up button, please. It helps the show. We really do appreciate it. We'll talk about all that and so much more after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report could be sponsored by you on the Nikki Medoro Show. We are looking for sponsors on the show, and if you're interested, you can email us at thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Unfortunately, let's start with the top story of the day. And I'll take the banner off there. This, unfortunately, out of Nashville, as we've been talking about. You heard Nikki mention it, but police say the shooter, who killed 3 kids and 3 adults at a private Christian elementary school in Nashville, was once a student there. The shooter is a 28-year-old Nashville woman who has been ID'd. She was shot and killed by police today. Police say the officers rushed the Covenant Presbyterian School, heard gunshots on the second floor, engaged the shooter, who was armed with 2 assault rifles and a handgun at the time. Again, she did not survive her interaction with police. 3 children dead, 3 adults as well. At this point, the ages of the children have not been made public. Meanwhile, President Biden says the Nashville school shooting is heartbreaking. He commended the police and their quick response, noting the shooter had assault weapons. President Biden once again calling on Congress, ban assault weapons. A majority of Black professionals consider mental health well-being a priority. A recently published report from the employment platform Oyster says 58% of Black workers prioritize mental health over everything. The figure is just under half for respondents over all races. And the pink slips are flying at Disney. That's right. According to a memo sent by CEO Bob Iger, the layoffs will begin this week. They will eventually total about 7,000 employees by the summer. The layoffs are expected to affect Disney's media division, along with parks and resorts and ESPN. First Citizens Bank buying a large portion of Silicon Valley Bank. The deal will see the Raleigh, North Carolina institution purchase about $72 billion of the failed San Francisco bank's assets. It looks like another $90 billion in Silicon Valley Bank assets will remain in receivership for disposition by the FDIC. Two family members of First Republic Bank founder Jim Herbert reportedly earned millions of dollars from the San Francisco bank in management fees in recent years. That, according to the Wall Street Journal. The bank has been paying Herbert's brother-in-law, James Healy, for consulting services since 2010. Herbert's son, James Herbert, was paid millions of dollars to oversee a lending unit at the bank. Pieces of the computer code used to run Twitter were leaked online. On March 24th, Twitter issued a subpoena to the software collaboration platform GitHub, where a user shared excerpts of Twitter's source code without permission. According to court filings, GitHub complied with Twitter's request and removed the code that same day. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim, so much. And another reminder to click that thumbs up button. The super chat, of course, is live. And if you would like to donate to our Patreon, it really is the number one way that we get a lot of support and consistent money in for the show. Please consider donating to our Patreon. You can find the link. It's very simple to sign up at thenikkimedoroshow.com. thenikkimedoroshow.com. And we always appreciate everybody that's able to do that and help us out and keep this show because it's 100% crowdfunded. All right. Well, speaking of people and jobs and possibly losing their jobs, CEO Bob Iger, Disney CEO Bob Iger, sent out an email this morning to all Disney employees informing them that the layoffs announced last month have begun. 7,000 people are going to lose their job. Before summer ends, that's when all 7,000, I guess, should be out of a job. You know, it's not I'm kind of torn on, should this kind of information be sent out through email? There's no real easy way of doing it. According to one report, Iger remained professional in expressing his feelings about the layoff. He wrote, "The difficult reality of many colleagues and friends leaving Disney is not something we take lightly." He says, for those not impacted, there will no doubt be challenges ahead. My question is why? Now, I know Disney is more than just Disneyland and Disney World. I mean, the streaming services and all that. I understand there's more into it. But my God, Disneyland has not been ever more popular. There is no longer, Kim, an off season at Disneyland. So the last time I went to Disneyland was in 2021, right? It was 2021. Pretty sure this is 2022. Yeah, it's 2021. And they were still doing the 50% whatever reduced capacity. It was amazing. I will tell you this. Now, we didn't get everything. We stayed at a Disney property. The Disney Californian, is that the big fancy schmancy one? The Disney Californian. We did, all of that, but we didn't get the character breakfast because that wasn't happening. Certain things, but being right there on Disneyland property was absolutely amazing. Yes, it cost a lot of money. The lines weren't too bad. It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. Like getting into the Cars ride, no problem whatsoever. We didn't need the Genie Plus or anything like that. Well, apparently there is no longer an off season. Now, estimates put Disneyland's capacity at 85,000 people. Disney California's 51,000. And after, obviously reducing capacity, things have totally normalized that park attendance, even though it's managed by the reservation system, has been selling out over and over again. Even those that have this one key, I forget what it's called, some sort of key that gives them better access to blackout dates or whatever, even those are seeing more and more blackouts. And so I want to play you this one little clip that ABC7 did. And of course, this is a guy that he's like...
Sorry, I was muted.
Oh, it's
I was
okay.
going to say that the top level of those keys you can't even get anymore. Sold out.
Yeah. I mean, people loved it. See, this is my question though, Kim.
Why the layoffs?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
They're making so much money. So here's a Disney expert who makes this money off of Disneyland. So let's just preface this that he has skin in the game here, okay? Explaining to ABC7 how you can get around so many people.
Resort and navigating the parks.
Definitely. So I'll go through 3 on tips to experience the most and beat the crowds. First is taking advantage of Disney's new Genie Plus system. This is a new version of FastPass that you run from your phone. And there's a lot of different hacks to that system, like making sure you know when you can reserve your next time slot. Everything we detailed in a massive guide over on mickeyvisit.com. One of our top pages right now is people trying to understand this system and how to take best advantage of it. So especially with crowds right now, if you do it right, you can have a great day and wait minimal waits utilizing the service. So highly recommend that.
All right. And then he just goes on. I love one of his tips was stay longer, because if you stay for, if you only stay for 1 day, then it's really expensive. But if you stay for 5 days, then that cost per day, except for the fact that it's expensive to be at Disneyland.
Every time you walk in that park, you're forking out bunches of money for food. And he's like, well, bring your food. Really?
No,
really?
You can't.
He's like, have your breakfast at your free breakfast at your hotel.
Yeah.
And then get a lunch outside the park. But really, that's not going to work. And kids see stuff and they want it. And you're at Disneyland trying to make it special for your kids. And
it's like, stay longer to give us more money. It's ridiculous. But have you ever done the Genie Plus? Have you been able to use that? Have you gone since they've had that?
No, not the Genie Plus. The iteration before that.
Okay, so like a fast pass type of thing.
Yeah, like a fast pass, but like an upgraded fast pass where they also give you every time they take a picture, you don't have to pay for it. Like it's part of the package.
Yeah. Okay,
that type of a thing. And I mean, it's fine. It's good. You want to have the best time you can. I would rather go more infrequently and spend a little more to get the upgraded perks when I go.
Right.
Speaking of kids and wanting everyone to have fun, it's spring break.
Oh, is it in your house? It's spring break right now?
2 weeks, my kids are home because it's 1 week for spring break. And then the next week is fire week, where the school district built in the fire week in case we had wildfires, but we didn't. So now we get this week off. It's wildfires in the North Bay. That
is weird.
So I can hear Jacob in the other room banging on bongo drums. So
I can't hear it. I don't
hear it. My apologies. But yeah, so I would rather go less often,
right?
But have a better experience. So I'd pay a little more for that.
I mean, I hear what you're saying. So now Disneyland, I don't know if I'd go back to Disneyland anytime soon. But I would love to I like to do Magic Mountain all the time. And I definitely go. I don't get the top fast pass because there's 3 tiers. The bottom tier, and you're paying on top of your ticket price, of course. It doesn't save you any time in line, but it just holds your place in line so you can go do something else. The second one cuts it down like in half of the wait time, so you get to actually move forward. And the top tier is like 90%. Like you can pretty much get on any ride you want to at whatever time. I've never splurged on that one because oftentimes when I go, we go for my birthday in October, and it's not too bad because even though they do the haunted, the Halloween type of stuff, and it draws more people, it's never too bad. So the middle fast pass, but once you go fast pass, you don't go back. I mean, it's just because then you realize how much time you're waiting and wasting in line. And if this is your only trip,
right?
And I mentioned before, my brother did the VIP at Disneyland, And he's
That
like,
must have been so expensive.
it
Oh,
was so well, he split it. I
yeah.
guess like he split it with a family, like so it was a big group. So they kind of went all in on it together, which is awesome. Except then you have to coordinate with all those people, which can
Right.
probably be a big old pain in the butt. But he's like, yeah, I mean, you definitely feel one, it's great that you can cut in line. Two, it sucks that you can cut in line because you see all these other people that can't spend that much money spending all their time in lines. I think Disneyland should reduce capacity to get control of those lines. If you're asking people to pay so much more money, then make the experience truly magical. So they're not spending 3 hours to get on the Cars ride that is 2 minutes long. Like that doesn't sound like they're taking care of the person. They're just taking care of their bottom line. And I know it's business. I see your guys' comments. Now, as far as the busiest time, let's see. If there's a holiday or a school vacation, you know it's going to be busy. I have heard, and I don't know if any of you in the comments know this, right after like Thanksgiving break, when everyone goes back to school, that's when you stay and you just don't go back to school and you go to Disneyland. I've heard that can sort of happen, but I feel like so many people have caught on to that even that time is busy.
We used to have a family tradition where we go on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And was it busy?
There was part of the day, like I want to say the morning part where it was very quiet.
Ooh,
and then you would think that everybody would be having family dinner in Southern California would go home.
right.
But in the afternoon and evening is when it got packed.
Oh,
So in the morning of Thanksgiving, it seemed to be kind of quiet.
well, I mean, I know that it's the happiest place on earth, but I don't think that that's true necessarily. I think that whole idea of being the happiest place on earth, it really matters on who you're talking to. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, am I still? Can you hear me? I know that.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I know.
You're cutting out a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay. But I don't think that it's the happiest place on earth. You know where else is not the happiest place on earth? Is definitely Twitter. So
Where?
Twitter. So
Oh, Twitter.
Elon Musk has lost, and if you lose me, I apologize. Elon Musk has lost half of what he paid. It's only worth $20 billion, less than half of the amount he paid. The New York Times reports Musk provided the $20 billion figure in an email sent to staff on Friday to announce a new stock compensation program. And then apparently he emailed employees at 2:30 in the morning, early Sunday morning, to say that being in the office is not an option. I don't know who's checking their email at 2:30 in the morning, but it sure as hell would not be me. Not at all. But I think he's kind of freaking out. I don't know how he's gonna. I mean, he's not an idiot. I mean, I don't particularly like everything about Elon Musk, but he's not stupid. I don't understand what his plan is here. The whole like blue check marks and all sorts of things, and then working your employees to the bone that they feel like they have to sleep there, and then texting them at 2:30 in the morning. I'd be out. I would so be out.
I
Apparently,
understand some layoffs, but why buy a company and then, scrap the whole thing, stop paying rent everywhere? It's like you went in to wreck it. You
yeah.
didn't go in to build it up and to make it better. You came in to just gut the place.
I feel like it's ego. It might just be as simple as ego. He said he was going to buy it. It took off. He doesn't want to be, he doesn't want egg on his face. So he had to buy it. I guess you could be so rich. You could be so freaking rich that you could just blow $44 billion on something that you're going to lose a buttload on. I mean, that's how rich he is. That's how rich Elon Musk is, that he's lost billions of dollars. And it's just,
I don't know. That's an awful lot to lose. He must be kind of sweating it now and wondering if all those, people he let go, key people that, made that company what it was,
all
if
those
that was a mistake. Yeah.
Yes, I think it was. I think that he wanted to surround himself with yes men and women, right? And wanted to go down a certain path. I don't know. Karen thinks that Elon is
on the
stupid,
floor.
though. I know.
Even the lady who was like, I'll do whatever it takes. She's gone.
Yeah. Karen says Elon is stupid. He's all about publicity for himself. He wants to be known as a hard driver so that the stockholders and public think he's a smart guy. Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that obviously it was a terrible buy for Twitter. I just don't know where it's going. Honestly, I don't go on Twitter that much. I advertised some of the show today with the shooting in Nashville. I was on it because I still was trying to find videos and some of the latest information, which I still think Twitter is the best at. But as just something to spend my time scrolling through, Twitter is not on that list anymore. It just because the whole page, my whole entire feed is different because of all the changes he's made. If you don't have a blue check mark, you don't see this, that, and the other. There are people I would see consistently on my feed I don't even see anymore. And I don't know if it's because of me or them, because I'm not paying for Twitter. So I don't care. I'm not giving Elon Musk any money. So maybe it's me. Maybe that's why I'm not seeing certain people's tweets on my feed anymore. But apparently I can live without it. So I'm doing just fine. One last email story. And this is a study that looks at how you end your work emails, tells people whether or not you are passive aggressive. So they interviewed more than 1,000 American adults to see how people feel about a variety of greetings and sign-offs in their inbox. So Kim, do you have one of those every single time, like, you know, the signature type of thing, like a quote? So sometimes people like,
no,
I like the one that says, excuse the typos and misspellings, or it's from my iPhone, or it's something like that. But apparently almost half of people surveyed said how their coworkers begin and end their email reveals what mood that person is in. So let's see. Hidden behind remaining professional email with emails from coworkers are passive aggressive. 91% of people agree with that statement. Let's see. If you really want to stick it to your colleagues, the most savage way to do is to not say anything at all. Leaving out a greeting or a sign off burns in the world of the workplace.
Really? Because sometimes I don't sign messages.
Well, I mean, it matters. Like if I'm sending it, if we're like in an email thread, like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Right.
I guess I always probably write Nikki though at the end. I don't write like sincerely or take care or thanks or on every single email, but I probably write my name.
If I write my name at the end, then I have to go back up and make sure that I said your name at the beginning.
Oh, I would just assume if you sent me the email that it'd be for me.
I just feel like, you know, you have to use the person's name. It's a form of respect.
Right.
Otherwise, if I don't use your name, I'm not using my name. It's just a little blip, blip, done, send.
Okay, so let's see. These are the most savage greetings. How you start. No greeting. So you just start, the email.
Right.
Hiya, Hiya, hiya. Just the name and then a dot, like Kim. And then straight into it. Hiya, Kim, which obviously. And then just Kim in a comma, which I don't find to be savage. It's just normally how you write it. Most savage sign-offs, no sign-off, just your name. Thanks in advance, which I saw somebody write. Who was it? Lisa wrote, I hate thanks in advance at the end of an email. That's funny because that's listed as one of the most savage endings. Respectfully and cheers. So those are the meanest, I guess.
Cheers is mean?
Savage is what they're saying. It's the most savage being, like not nice.
We used to have someone we worked with who would sign all of her emails, thank you for your expected cooperation.
Oh, I think I remember that one. Yeah, expected cooperation.
Every time she sent it, I was like, that is the rudest thing.
Well, there is no middle ground here. I expect you to do like it reminds me of per the last email, as I may have mentioned in past emails, those sorts of things. It's like, I get what you're saying. And that's happened to me, and I don't mean it to be mean, but so for instance, if I sent something and somebody says, oh, I never heard back from you, but they did respond. And I go, well, let me show you how we had a whole interaction about X, Y, and Z. And maybe you forgot it, which is fine. I don't care, but I'm just letting you know. I held to my end of the bargain. It's, yeah, exactly. That is so rude. Thanks for your expected cooperation. I guess I say thanks a lot, or I look forward to hearing from you. I can't wait to talk about this further. Most of the emails that I send though aren't to Kim because we'll just text.
Yeah.
Most of the emails I send are like if I want to interview somebody or something like that.
Then I always sign it off. Thank you for considering it.
or something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
like thank you for
Exactly.
considering being interviewed or coming on the show, whatever. Yeah.
Speaking of texting, you know what also is apparently passive aggressive or mean is when you put a period at the end of something.
No. That's called proper grammar.
No, so if I say I need you to do X, Y, and Z, and you text back, okay, period. People are like, oh,
Really?
yeah. Not just okay. If it's an okay, period, apparently I'm kind of pissed off or you're kind of pissed off or whatever.
Okay, if I ever do that, it's because it's proper grammar.
You should
If I'm
put that
pissed
as
off,
your
I'll tell
email
you I'm pissed
signature.
off.
You're like, all periods and punctuation are because it's proper, not because
grammar,
of being
that's
rude.
right.
There you go. That is so funny. So yeah, just keep that in mind. 65% of people, again, in the survey want to do away with set from my phone. Please excuse the typos. I find that funny.
I do too, but it's over now. Like we know.
Well, for me, and again, this isn't really having to do with emails. It's more to do with text messages. The latest update on your iPhone, if anybody voice texts, do you voice text?
All the time, and I screw it up every time.
Well, it's because they screw it up for you. So, for instance, if I'm voice texting, the phone has now decided to put the punctuation in. I put the punctuation in. So, if I'm texting Kim and I go, did you see that show last night on YouTube? ? It was so crazy! ! I talk like that when I voice text.
Sure.
But now all of a sudden my phone wants to do that crap. And I'm like, no. We both can't be doing it. Because then all of a sudden it'll put a comma and start a new sentence. And I'm like, that was the same sentence. So then I got to go back and I got to edit it. And I don't like to edit it. I freaking hate it.
Did I tell you what my child did to me? I got this phone. Maybe, I don't know, just before the KGO imploded. So I'm going to say October-ish.
Okay.
So it's been like, what, 5 months? And damn it, if every time I wrote, I have 2 kids. Julia is older and Jacob is younger.
Right.
If every time I wrote Jacob, my phone would change it to Julia. Every single time. This is going on for months and months. I'd say, Jacob has basketball practice. We can be there at whatever time.
Right.
And it would say, Julia has basketball practice. Every time. Finally, after months of complaining, I thought, my phone has a favorite kid. There's nothing I can do here. Unless I specifically selected his name from the little thing below. So Julia looks at her feet. She said, Mom, I didn't mean for it to go on so long, and I forgot to fix it.
Yes.
But I went into your phone and I changed it, and I asked it to say, every time you wrote Jacob, have it say Julia, and every time you write hi, say goodbye.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, that's great.
Girl,
that was actually a pretty good prank. Yeah.
That's a good like April Fool's thing. You know what I mean? Because it's innocent enough.
Except for it happened for 5 months.
Yeah.
So,
She could have let you off the hook a lot earlier than that. My God,
I would
Julia.
think so.
Give
I was
your
actually
mom
kind
a
of
break.
impressed, though. I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh, yeah. You can do all kinds of shortcuts. You could do shortcuts with your phone. So let's say you're getting pulled over. You could just voice something to your phone and it'll call a person or it'll share your location. There's all sorts. I don't do any of that stuff with my phone.
Yeah,
but you
I
can
don't even know how to do that.
It's all under the shortcuts and that sort of thing. Yeah, I like voice texting. It becomes like a novel. What I don't do a lot, if I'm going to text you a novel. I don't do small texts. I'm not going to go back and forth. You'll just get a novel, read it, and then just get back to me when you're done reading it. Okay, one last thing, and this is just nuts, and it's a total visual. So if you're listening to this on podcast, you're just going to have to imagine it. Did you see this? This might have ended up in your email box. That's why I included it in this section. This is insane. I thought that this was a semi-fake video because sometimes, they create them, but nope. This is real. Watch this video.
Incredible video of a car going airborne on the 118 freeway in Chatsworth when it hits a tire that came free rolling off a truck right next to it. You can see major damage here, debris scattered all over the roadway near DeSoto Avenue exit. This all happened last Thursday. California Highway Patrol saying it appears a lug nut on that truck's tire sheared off, causing the tire to come free and roll into the next lane. Amazingly, both drivers were able to walk away without any major injuries. Just incredible that someone even survived that.
Now, I don't know about you. I thought the person in the car was dead. And I was like, why are we watching this video? This person died. There's no way. I think it was a Kia. I think that was a Kia. They should be using that footage to sell all the cars. Like, this person survived.
That
and
didn't
I would
look like a fatal crash to me.
it landed on its hood in the windshield.
Yeah, but it wasn't crushed. If it had been crushed, or if it had been wedged against the guardrail, or if the other vehicle smushed it against the guardrail.
Look at NTSB over here. I'm just saying, it looked like the person died.
Former traffic reporter. I know a fatal accident from a non-fatal.
There's no smushing. That's the official term. There's no smushing.
So
they're alive. There's no smushing. Yeah. But anyways,
or if you weren't belted and you saw someone ejected,
true. Well,
party
yes.
over.
Yeah, if they're ejected.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, that's
Then
always one of my fears. That tire just. I always wonder about things in the road, God, what would happen if I had hit it, if I didn't swerve out of the way or whatever? Because sometimes you're like, are you going to cause a bigger accident or are you just going to damage your car? I'm not hitting the tire. That was insane.
So when you look at a crash like that, at least I do, and I say, okay, how could that driver have avoided? If I was driving that vehicle, what could I have done?
Nothing.
So unless you put yourself always behind a vehicle so that you leave so much space so that if something flies off another car, it's not right next to you like that.
Yeah.
But how realistic is that?
Well, it's not realistic. And two, that wheel, like you're still going forward and that wheel's spinning right in front of you at some point. That was insane. That was insane. That's like some Final Destination stuff, right? You ever see that movie?
There's nothing he could have. Once that wheel came off and he was right smack next to the guy.
No, there's nothing you could do. Pray.
As a matter of fact, he probably didn't even know what hit him. And until the car's in the air and
airborne.
What the hell just happened? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right after Kim's news, we're going to get into digital blackface. I keep asking this question this way. Is this outrage looking for a source of outrage? Or is there really something to this idea of digital blackface? And I'll give you some examples of it. And you tell me if you've ever done it, because I mean, I'm Puerto Rican and Italian, but I'm not Black. Am I not allowed to share any sort of Black memes or GIFs or anything like that? Is that, have I participated in what is being called insidious digital blackface, or is this just going too far? And, people just need to learn to be able to share memes and GIFs and videos and not be so offended. And I'm totally open to changing my mind because I have a knee-jerk reaction to this story. I could be educated. So let me know. I'm not trying to say that I'm always right, but God, you're going to have to do some really big persuading to get me to believe.
This is one of those stories where either we're going to become more aware of something, or we're going to, it's another example of woke gone wrong.
Exactly. And is this, again, is this where we need to be putting our time and energy and outrage? This is, and if it is, if there's a really good reason, please explain it to me in the comments. So we'll get into that. Please click the thumbs up button, and here's Kim with the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
On the Nikki Medoro Show, another wet, windy few days are headed for the Bay Area. The storm expected to arrive with light rain tonight and intensify in the morning hours on Tuesday. Got a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of rain per hour expected to fall in the North Bay between 4 and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Forecasters are expecting the storm to weaken a bit after that 5-hour period, but then still bring scattered showers continuing through Wednesday. So we've got another, they call it atmospheric river, headed for the Bay Area. It's going to be windy too. Winds, gusts as strong as 50 miles an hour. So another chance for fallen trees and power outages as well. Recovery is slow going in Pajaro. Now people can't even drink the water. Monterey County health officials say it'll be another 2 weeks before it's safe. It's okay for showering, though, they say. The water system was turned on over the weekend as families continue to return for cleanup 2 weeks after a levee break caused a mass flooding and buried entire neighborhoods. The sewage system was also turned on, allowing toilets to finally be flushed. A stretch of southbound Highway 101 in the North Bay is back open after a nearly 17-hour closure. The road south of Petaluma into Novato reopened Sunday afternoon. It closed to allow PG&E crews the ability to repair a pipeline impacted by a landslide. That stretch of Highway 101 from Sonoma County into Marin County was originally supposed to reopen Sunday morning. The closure had to be extended, though, as crews discovered they needed more work, time to do work, and concrete that they had poured needed more time to set. So they did it right. The road finally reopened. The grand jury in former President Trump's 2016 hush money case may hear from another witness. The grand jury is expected to reconvene today. Prosecutors might call on a witness to counter a Trump ally who testified last week. The 23-member grand jury is trying to decide whether or not to indict former President Trump. Mississippi's governor says help is on the way. There is a widespread atmosphere of devastation after an outbreak of deadly tornadoes that was across Mississippi and Alabama. 26 people died in those tornadoes. The National Weather Service said Friday's tornado that tore through parts of Mississippi packed estimated wind speeds of 166 to 200 miles an hour. Israel is seeing protests break out after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu fired his defense minister. Hundreds of protesters have been outside Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem. The number of protesters throughout the country is reportedly now in the tens of thousands. The defense minister was dismissed one day after saying in a televised speech that a judicial overhaul that Netanyahu has been calling for is a clear, immediate, tangible danger to the security of the state. The latest consumer confidence report being released tomorrow will lead off a week full of key economic reports. The Case-Shiller Home Price Index also due tomorrow, while pending home sales will be out on Wednesday. The U.S. Army's new advertising campaign is being pulled due to the arrest of Creed 3 star Jonathan Majors. The ad features narration from Majors. The Army says it is deeply concerned about allegations that the Creed 3 Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania star assaulted a 30-year-old woman in New York City over the weekend. Again, allegations only at this point. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Joining us on the second half of the Nikki Medoro Show on YouTube anytime you like, but please, while you're here, click the thumbs up to show your support. Also, please share the show with your friends and make sure you subscribe. There should also be like a bell for you guys. I've had some of you reach out to me. Apparently it doesn't pop up easy enough for you on YouTube. If you hit that bell, you should get alerted that the show is starting or that there's new content up. I do shorts, I do little preview videos, and so you get alerted to all of that as well. So again, please consider donating to our Patreon, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Our PayPal is thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Our merch, thenikkimedoroshop.com. We do have a throw blanket. It's soft, it's warmy, it's not too warmy, it's not too thick. So you can wrap yourself around it all year long. So you can check that out at thenikkimedoroshop.com. Okay, so there are often times where Kim McAllister will send me a story and I'll just be like, you've got to be friggin' kidding me with this nonsense. Okay. And so it happened yesterday. There was a CNN headline that says, what is digital blackface and why is it wrong when white people use it? Now, again, the reason why I mentioned, and I think it was Flo that was mentioning, the reason I mentioned my nationality, it's not to designate myself as able to or not able to use something, but I kind of feel like this story is a black and white type thing. And while I know that Puerto Ricans, have a very mixed line, I'm just taking the black and white aspect of it. Some people do think that I'm part black, pardon me. And there might be some in my lineage. I have no idea, but I'm just going to do the black and white thing for right now, if that makes sense. So not saying that I am allowed or I'm not allowed. I just want your guys' opinion on any of us really being able to use this. So I'm going to give you some examples. All right. You ready? So for instance, if you've ever shared this picture. Now that's RuPaul going, girl. And that's, RuPaul's Drag Race. That's the TV show. Apparently she says it all the time. So that's one. This is Tyra Banks. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you? Some people share that as a response to whatever situation that they may be in. And then there's Sweet Brown, who actually made a ton of money for Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. Okay? Now, that's my imitation of her. I hope I didn't offend anybody. Sorry.
I really love that when she said that.
Right. Okay. The thing with Sweet Brown is, and I'm gonna remind you about all this because of this video, is she was actually talking about something bad that happened. Her apartment was on fire. So I'm gonna play you this video. It kind of recaps everything. And again, I'm not making fun of her, but I feel like she knows also. I feel like she knows what she's doing, right? I mean, the way she's speaking, there's some humor in her voice, in my opinion. But you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Here it is. Oh, please don't be there an ad. Damn it. I had it all set up, all nice. But anyway, so
I woke up to go get me a cold pop. And then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. And then the smoke got me. I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that.
The interview turned a mother and grandmother, better known as Sweet Brown, into a viral star.
He said, Mom, look. I'm like, what? He went viral. I'm like, what is viral?
Just 2 days later, the video had been watched more than 3 million times. Hey, my kids are like the millions of people who just can't get enough of Sweet Brown. The videos turned her into a celebrity.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of things been just really happening for me. As far as my t-shirts, barbecue sauce, different, things that I've been doing, it's crazy.
We're there in Oklahoma.
Shut the hell up with all that yakking. Ain't nobody got time for that.
She's had dozens of TV appearances and even a cameo on A Medea Christmas. Tyler Perry was impressed by her entourage.
She showed up with her manager and her assistant.
She's got all Hollywood,
She has a manager and an assistant.
She's learned some lessons as a viral star and has advice for anyone else who gets famous.
Go for it, because you'd be surprised who's looking at you.
Now Sweet Brown's building a bigger empire.
Sounds so good, make you want to slap your mama.
All right. So she is being used by CNN in this article as an example of digital blackface if I or Kim or somebody else were to say, ain't nobody got time for that.
See, I agree with Floyd Key. Floyd's Key. I think she's funny. She brings joy.
Knows, yes, exactly.
She's got a personality and she makes me laugh. Is it racist if I laugh? I don't feel like I'm laughing at her. I feel like I'm laughing with her.
Mm-hmm.
But what they're saying is that white people don't express strong emotions. So we don't express extra joy like that, or excessive sorrow, or whatever it may be. So when you see someone overly expressive like that, it's often someone of color, is what the article says. I disagree, but okay. And so then it becomes, are we using them? The quote, I think, was, we're stepping on them like the minstrels of the past, right? So we're
play acting as black, basically.
Yeah,
it's like blackface. That's why we're saying blackface. So if Kim, for instance, is ain't nobody got time for that, it's almost the same, except it's digital. And this is where I get, you've got to be kidding me. Almost as if she's painted herself black, hopped up on stage, and is acting like a black person in a minstrel show. Convince me that that's not a ridiculous viewpoint on this, because I find it to be ridiculous. I think that, and I will say this, I'm also going to preface this by saying, I do think, especially when we talk about digital, TikTok, all these videos, YouTube, I do think that there is a propensity for white people, and I'm just going to use generic terms here, so don't come at me, to take black art, black dances, black style, and monetize it without giving the original person their due, as happened and seen over and over and over again. I don't think that is this. I don't. I think that if the D'Amelios, the sisters that do the dances and everything. I think that if they're out there and they're getting on Jimmy Fallon and they're getting all kinds of followers and endorsements for doing a dance that they saw somebody else do without giving, due credit, I do think that there's something wrong with that. But I also think once you put something out there online, and if it's not trademarked or done something to protect it, it's out there. It's out there.
I just put the link to the article in the chat comments.
Thank you.
But now CNN is being slammed by other publications.
Oh,
this article. And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene responded.
Oh, blech.
And she says, she's apparently responding to this whole digital blackface discussion. She's saying they're saying she's intervened in the debate sparked by CNN about digital blackface by posting a GIF of a man saying, "Just stop." The man in the meme is black, flaunting the same behavior the news channel was describing in its article. Yeah.
Look, okay. This is the other thing that I don't. If back in the day there were minstrel shows where a white person wore blackface and was making money and getting paid to be a black person, act like a black person on stage. Okay, that's that. This is other people. Let's just take Sweet Browns. Ain't nobody got time for that. Everybody knows who started it. Right. She's getting the advertising. She's getting the endorsement. She's getting the money. She doesn't seem to not like it. She puts herself voluntarily in these situations and gets paid for it.
Right.
I think there's also a difference there, right? And as far as power, influence, wealth, all those sorts of things. So again, I feel like CNN, and this was actually based on an essay that had been written a few years ago by this woman, Elizabeth Halford. She wrote an article in 2020 about how she made a meme out of Sweet Brown's "Ain't Nobody Got Time for That" catchphrase and sent someone a gif of singer Beyonce repeating, "I'm not bossy, I'm the boss." She wrote, "I've engaged in digital blackface. I've laughed at people of color on the news facing horrifying crime and disaster and loss. I've appropriated Black trauma as punchlines and peeled their faces off to put on my own and say what I can't say to make you laugh or just because it went viral." She was bothered because of the context of the interview that Sweet Brown's, apartment had been on fire. And she says it doesn't mean she won't use GIFs of Black people. She doesn't object to the Beyonce "I'm the boss" meme because it empowers women. But if it's not empowering, then she thinks that there's something wrong with that.
So if it could at all be construed as I'm making fun of someone instead of lifting someone up, then I'm racist.
Are you making fun of Sweet Brown by saying "ain't nobody got time for that"? Are you making fun of her by saying that?
I don't think I am. I think I'm enjoying her.
I think she's putting a phrase in a fun way.
Yeah.
And using it in the way that she meant. Like, I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for this fire. Like, ain't nobody have time for this smoke. I got to get out of here. All that sort of things.
But in even saying it that way,
right?
In phrasing it that like she would have phrased it, is it like donning blackface because we're stealing her expression?
Yeah.
I mean, I can consider the argument because I want to be aware of how other people are feeling, but I'm having a hard time going there.
Yeah.
I think we're taking a step over the line.
Well, and again, when we have real issues, and I will even say, in the digital space, what I was talking about, white influencers taking Black art, Black style, Black videos, all those, and appropriating them as their own idea, that is a problem I can get behind. It'd be like, you know what? How about you give credit where credit is due? And it doesn't even have to be race. Like, you can kind of take race out of it. Why not, if you see something online, give them a little bit of credit, help lift them up. I've mentioned him before, and this is in a different kind of space, but Keith Lee, if you guys follow food TikTok, which I do, he's awesome. And I've talked about him before. He goes in Las Vegas. He goes to restaurants that haven't done well and tries to figure out whether it's the food, the customer service, or just marketing. And he's elevated a lot of businesses. Well, what he also did recently was he ate a sandwich. I think it was some sort of creation. I want to say it was at Quiznos or one of these places that another influencer that had a smaller following online had created. And so he was like, I want to try this sandwich that she made. And he linked her and said her name. And it's like, she did this. I'm trying it, but go follow her. She created this sandwich. That's how you should do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you find something online and you have the ability to add your own spin to it or take on it, that's fine. But give credit where credit is due. If I made something and made a sandwich and then you just make the exact same thing and act like it's your own, that's some BS.
Yeah.
Karen says, so what do we do? Ignore all Black people? Do we just turn them off? We don't like the humor. We don't engage with them because it makes us racist. John Blake and CNN, just stop it. Yeah, no, I mean, we can't turn people off. We can't ignore it, but I don't think that it's digital blackface. I don't. I think that if I'm responding to a text from Kim and I'm in my GIF bar, pardon me, my GIF bar, and I'm looking at all these things and one just speaks to me, I am not paying attention to whether the person's white, Black, Asian, a carrot, whatever. If it's funny and it made me laugh, that's all. And for all the people out there that are like, why can't we look past race? This is, I feel like, one of those areas. Is it funny? I mean, most of the time people send GIFs to be funny. And so if it's funny, just send it. People know if you're being offensive, I feel like.
It feels like they want us to, at every moment, like nothing can ever be done without considering, is it a racist moment?
Right.
Like,
Well,
is there ever anything that
aware.
we can do to say, I mean, it is good to be aware. It is good to be thinking about it, but sometimes it's a little bit exhausting.
It is.
Like, can I just be myself? I mean, hopefully I'm non-racist and I don't want to offend anyone, and I never go into it with that intention. But God, if I have to think about it 24/7, oh.
Well, and again, like, am I not allowed to send anything except, like, am I not allowed to send a GIF that includes anyone except people that look like me? Is that what we're saying? I mean, are we going to go that far? No. What I think that is, we know someone had mentioned, I think in the CNN article as well, it's like pornography, you know it when you see it. If you're being racist, if you're being hateful, we know. If you're just using a GIF to make somebody laugh because you're commenting in that way on something, we know. We're not idiots. So CNN, save it. I think it's kind of faux outrage over something that's not a real issue. There are things to be truly against, right? There are true racists and hateful people out there. Call that BS out. But you're going to come for the GIFs? Like, especially ones that are making people money, like Sweet Brown. She's created a whole empire off of a really funny interview. Who else remembers hide your kids, hide your wife? Remember that guy? Oh, I forget his name. When I was in Sacramento, I was a reporter. Dude, we like quoted that guy left and right. He was wearing a bandana.
Yeah.
Somebody had broken into, I think, an apartment or something, and he was commenting on it. He was hilarious. He knew he was being hilarious. I'm sorry. He knew he was being, he probably maybe talks that way anyway, but he did something with that, I believe.
Oh, sorry, I muted you instead.
I was like, why am I muted? I think he made money off of that. I think that if they want to make themselves go viral for something, and if they want to monetize it, then it's become part of the culture, and it's going to take legs. And as long as I think we're coming from it from not a racist viewpoint, I think we're fine.
What I just said about it can be exhausting if you have to think about it every minute of the day.
Right.
I realize that there are people of color that experience racism all the time, and they have to think about it all the time.
And they're exhausted by it. Yeah.
And they're exhausted by it. And I don't mean to say that as a white person, I'm not sensitive to that, or that I don't understand that. I'm just saying that, you know, if I want to send a friend something funny, and I don't mean it any ill will, and, you know, to have to really consider before every moment that you open your mouth, write something, say something, look at someone, everything you do, you have to ask yourself first, how is this going to be perceived? How will this person take this? If someone else saw this, what would they think of me?
Right. Well, I mean, people should, I mean,
they should.
It stops
but
conversations,
it's an
but
awful lot. I mean, it's an awful lot. When can you just, with
well, I think that if you say something, Kim, and someone interprets it the wrong way, your reaction to that, either correction or opinion about what you said, will kind of forecast how it's going to go. So, for instance, if you said something and someone's like, I don't know if you really should say
what were
that.
you thinking? Right.
And you get defensive instead of saying, oh, explain to me what went wrong. I want to learn. Right. If you're open, and that's why I even had this conversation the way I'm having. I'm like, you guys, if you want to educate me and I'm missing something here, I am open to it. But I don't see it the same way as minstrel shows. I just don't, unless it's blatant. And I think we know the difference. I really do. I think someone putting up a Tyra Banks meme, like, we were rooting for you, isn't being racist just because they're not black. It's not the same thing. And when we try to put it under too large of an umbrella, then we miss the opportunities to really speak out about real racism and offensive behavior and posts and memes and things like that. One last story that's kind of in this topic is, just the whole sensitivity that we talk about, is CNN being too sensitive? Are we becoming too sensitive? Agatha Christie's works are now the latest to be targeted and chopped up by quote unquote sensitivity readers. Okay. So Agatha Christie's, I was trying to find the name of the book. It's not giving me the name of the book. Okay. So among the edits for one of her books is a number of references to race, such as characters being described as Black or Jewish, as well as a passage where a character grows frustrated with children. Now, here's the passage. A character complains about annoying children, thinking, quote, they come back and stare, and their eyes are simply disgusting, and so are their noses, and I don't believe I really like children. The edited version changes it to, they come back and stare, and I don't believe I really like children. So they took out kind of the description. Oh, this is from Death on the Nile. It was a book that came out in 1937. They've replaced the word native with the word local. They've replaced the term, they've taken out terms like Indian temper. Should we be editing books that were written in 1937 because it doesn't fit with today's norms?
No,
right? Like, that's insane.
Because that is a representation of that time in our history.
Exactly. For instance, not the same thing, but just you saying that, I'll take it even shorter. I watched a movie yesterday with my son. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Have you ever seen that movie with Christina Applegate? It came out like
a long time ago.
I mean, this was Christina Applegate, Married with Children years. Okay.
Yeah.
Really cute movie. But throughout the whole freaking movie, she's smoking cigarettes. She's smoking in her office. She's smoking in. I'm looking at my son Dylan, and I was like, she gets, like, you know how long ago this movie was? They could smoke in their office, Dylan. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Do I want them to take out the cigarette and the cigarette smoke because, oh my God, you might be influencing my child? No, it just encapsulates the time. Like, you were allowed to do that. Remember, you used to smoke on airplanes. They used to serve you turkey dinners, according to one magazine ad. I mean, it's just the time.
It's even important to point out that cigarette companies paid for placement in movies.
Exactly.
And if you could write a movie where the main character smoked, probably the producer was like, aha, that's going to be some money for us.
Exactly.
And, and so they did it on purpose, and it was a marketing tool. And I think you can point that out to your kids and go, look, they were selling it to us back then. You see why so many people smoked? Yeah.
It was the cool thing to do. Not that cigarettes aren't still in movies and TV shows, but it's a lot less. And nobody's smoking in the office. It's not. No. It's totally different. And so when we look at something like Agatha Christie's book from 1937, and you start changing the words, you're changing actual, the way people spoke and wrote back then. And there's no, in my opinion, need for it. No. There's no need for it. You don't need to remove the N word from certain books because there was a reason it was written, and it was based on the time and the author and the subject. Like,
it's a
that's
historical
the point.
record. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And so sensitivity readers, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's boggling my mind, all of these topics today. But yeah,
And just the title, sensitivity readers.
right, exactly. You got to
Like,
be
why are we so sensitive?
I know.
Get over it, people. It was the time in which it was written. Can we not understand what's acceptable now versus what
Mhm.
was acceptable then and know the difference?
Oh, I didn't know that. Ron says you could smoke in offices up to 1995. In California too? I always feel like California led the way on that. Chris says I saw that movie twice in the theater. It holds up. And you know what's so funny is that as the movie was playing, I still knew lines from that movie. The babysitter was just an awful, awful woman. It was a good movie. It holds up. But yeah, a lot of smoking of cigarettes on there. Okay, we'll do a couple quick headlines. Oh, what? Sorry.
It's a good quote, a good chat. Someday, writes C. Jason Thwaites, intention will properly be the deciding factor in all social interactions, like porn, where we all know intention when we see it.
Yeah, I think so.
What is the intention? Was the person intending to be racist?
Exactly.
What
Some
does
people
that
just
matter?
don't.
Yeah.
But some people just don't have self-awareness either.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And while I agree with you, I do wonder if some people hear the words that come out of their mouth and how it's said. And then they go, why are you offended? You're like, are you hearing yourself speak? So I don't know. It's hard to live in a society with other people. It just really is. Oh yeah. So Ron with the update. It was AB 13 and it passed in 1995. Thank you for that history lesson, my friend. That makes sense. I was still in high school in 1995, so I wouldn't have known what was going on in office buildings. That's for sure. Okay, when we come back, how many of you are part of a gym, like have a gym membership? How much would you be willing to pay? And what do you expect that gym to provide for said monthly membership? Because things are going nuts. There was this podcast I listened to a couple years ago, and it was the money behind gyms, and they don't want you inside the gym. They don't want you at all. They want you to sign up and then stay home. Because if everybody that signed up for a gym membership went to the gym, you'd never get a machine, right? So they don't actually want you to be there all the time. But if you do belong to a gym, how much would you be willing to pay? And what kind of amenities would you expect? Because you're not going to believe this story. I'll tell you all about it. Plus, click that thumbs up button. We love it. You love it. Let's do it. Here's Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
I have to apologize for my voice today, you guys. I'm really sorry about that. This report could be sponsored by you because we are looking for sponsors on the Nikki Medoro Show. The Nikki Medoro Show at gmail.com. That's where to send the email if you're interested in a sponsorship opportunity. You too could be sponsoring this very newscast. It is, you could say, a sad day in America. Police say the shooter who killed 3 kids and 3 adults at a private Christian elementary school in Nashville was once a student there. The shooter, a 28-year-old Nashville woman who had been ID'd, was shot and killed by police. Investigators now searching her home. Police officers rushed the Covenant Presbyterian School. They say they heard gunshots on the 2nd floor and engaged the shooter, who was armed with what they say was 2 assault rifles and a handgun. The Covenant is a preschool through 6th grade school. Police say the shooter entered that school through a side entrance. But women are rarely mass shooters. That is what happened in Nashville this morning. Police confirming this 28-year-old woman was the one who shot and killed these 3 students. Women are only responsible for about 2% of all mass shootings in America, that according to the Violence Project. The research group tracks U.S. mass shooting data as far back as 1966. It defines mass shootings as an attack with 4 or more victims. Recovery efforts going on in Mississippi after this deadly tornado cycle. A widespread devastation after an outbreak of deadly tornadoes across Mississippi and Alabama claimed at least 26 lives. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves was joined by state and federal officials as they pledged support. It appears the national price at the pump is staying steadily above $3. Haha, not in California, right? Americans across the country are paying an average of $3.43 per gallon. I don't know about you, Nikki. It's way over $5 in Petaluma. It is compared to last week's average, though, of just 1 cent higher. The lowest average in the country is in Mississippi, where gas is going for $2.98 a gallon.
I paid $4.59 the last time I filled up. You're over $5 everywhere in Petaluma?
$5.19 a gallon at last check.
Is that just because that's the one that you always go to, or are you shopping around?
All of them shopping around.
Really? Ooh, I'm sorry, friend. That sucks.
Bad news with the gas pump over here. Today marks the 59th anniversary of the largest earthquake ever recorded in North America. The Great Alaskan Earthquake of 1964 measured 9.2 on the Richter scale. It devastated communities across Southeast Alaska. The quake lasted 4.5 minutes. It is said to have made the Space Needle sway. That's as far away as Seattle. And I wanted to read you this story as well, because I don't know if you were interested in the Gwyneth Paltrow ski crash, but the man suing Gwyneth Paltrow over this ski crash says he heard a blood-curdling scream right before he was hit. Retired optometrist Terry Sanderson, who is suing the actress for $300,000, says he suffered from a concussion and a brain injury and broke 4 ribs. Paltrow testified last week it was Sanderson who crashed into her back. But Sanderson says he was hit in the shoulder blades and went flying.
Yeah,
So
it's
we'll
a
see how
weird
this goes.
story. I mean, it's definitely one of those. Was it a mutual crash? But
Right.
So whoever is coming downhill behind the other person needs to have control, right? So that's the big question: is was she there and he slammed into her? Was he there and she slammed into him? I don't know how you prove something like that, but I read somewhere that he apologized to her for hitting her.
Well, I was reading fact asterisk not fact that he skied, that she was skiing, and all of a sudden 2 skis came in between her legs.
Yeah.
And then she felt a body at her back. So he skied into her back.
Right. So
Now,
then
I
he's
mean,
at fault.
So
And he's
then it would be like a car rear-ending another car, right?
Right. Exactly. So you need to have complete control of your car. So,
I mean,
but
I'm
again,
not
I
the
don't know how they
biggest
prove
Gwyneth
this.
Paltrow fan, but I mean, I'm sure there were witnesses, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's what you need to bring in is people that were there. Hopefully somebody saw exactly what happened. And 2, if nobody saw it but was there kind of helping things out, if he's like, sorry, I hit you, kind of answers the question of who hit who, huh?
And why did he originally sue for $3 million and then downgrade to $300,000?
Yeah.
I mean, did he see, Gwyneth Paltrow and I were just involved in an accident. How can I get a payday out of this one?
Yeah, I don't know. And she's suing him for like $1 or something like that. So
Or suing for $1. Yeah.
Making-
Point? I don't know. And that is the news on the Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Well, slopes is one form of exercise. Some people like to go to the gym. Now, I've gone to a gym.
What just happened to your voice?
What happened?
Oh, thank God it's back. All of a sudden, like you were high-pitched and squealy, but
Oh,
now it's
no.
okay. Yeah.
Maybe that's I'll blame the internet. I'm the mouse that is inside my computer. Okay. So am I sounding better right now? You can hear me? That's okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. So I belong to a gym. I pay $20 a month. It's not the biggest gym. I do wish that it was bigger. If I could have a dream gym, this is how it would be. There would be more room for weightlifting. I like to lift weights. But I don't like to be too close to people. So definitely some more room for that. And I would love a gym that had the really fun classes in the middle of the day, because that's when I could go. Like I get off at 2. I want a class at 2:30. But oftentimes they're in the morning, in the afternoon, evening, late afternoon, evening, when most people can go work out. And so I'm not going to pay extra for a gym for classes that I'm never going to make. So I just go to the $20 one, and it makes sense to me. There is a gym in Los Angeles. It is called HiMat. I'm going to show you some pictures. This gym, hold on, I want to get $350 per month. What does $350 per month get you? You can get spin and Pilates classes, okay, a co-working space, a pool, astrology workshops, a nap room, a salt sauna, and so much more. So they start by telling the story of this woman, Corey Zigman, who wanted to join. She's 44 years old. This is down in LA. She's a real estate developer. She goes on a tour. She fills out an application. The application includes questions about who she knew at HiMat and what her social media handles were. Because, you know, when you join the gym, it's all about social media. Here's some pictures. So she sends in the application and she waited months before she got an acceptance letter. But her friends did not. And I would argue, if you're going to join a gym, you'd like to join with some people that you know so you can go work out together. It's fun like that. Here's what HiMat looks like. So those are the weight benches. Kind of fancy looking, but, you know, it's okay. That's the pool area. It looks like a hotel, in all honesty.
Very nice, yeah.
This is, I guess, like a lounge area, like the private club area. And Michael Mina, you know the chef, he cooks over at Levi Stadium too. Mm-hmm. Michael Mina is cooking apparently, or has a menu at HiMat. So apparently this is the new thing. There's another place called Remedy Place, a social wellness club. It opened in West Hollywood and in the Flatiron District in New York last year. Again, you have to go through an application process to pay these people to work out. Memberships range from $595 to more than $2,700 a month. You get cryotherapy, IV drips, a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, lymphatic compression suit, meditation classes, sound baths, and more. Is it worth the price? Anybody willing to pay something like that?
$2,700 a month?
$2,750 is actually that's the most expensive. Kim says, we worked with a lady who paid for an expensive gym close to Station X because at the time she was living out of her Prius and could hang out at the gym as a place to shower and hang out. I get that, but not for $2,750. For $2,750, you can get an apartment. You can get a room somewhere.
Right.
The gym, like I mentioned in the tease, they don't want you to show up. But the reason that, because obviously not everybody that has a membership at a gym can go there.
Right.
But this whole idea of high-priced gyms, they're saying, is to counter the low-priced gym that I go to. $20 a month is nothing. You know what I mean? I don't feel guilty if I don't go for a month, right? It's $20. I mean, it adds up. I definitely want to go. But anybody willing to pay for all of that extra? So the only reason I go to a cheap gym, like I said, is because I can't ever make the classes at other gyms. Whenever I look, so let's just say 24-hour fitness, right? They have a ton of classes, but I look at the schedule and I can't go when they're offered. So I'm not going to pay more for a membership there than at the place I go to because I get the same thing. Although I would like the extra space. The place I go to.
What about though the status of joining a club like the Olympic Club or, you know, one of those clubs in San Francisco that's like they have a pool and tennis courts and it's a social thing and private and very.
But do you want to hang out with the people that just are at the gym all day? Like, I don't know.
No.
Not knocking them, but
that's not my jam. But you know,
I don't like gym rats.
Yeah.
I mean, I would never call myself a gym rat. I used to work out a lot, like in high school and college, really in college and in my early 20s. And I'd hang out there for like, you know, a couple of hours. And that just seemed like a lot. And then if you're older, that might just be the only socialization you get, right? It's like I go at the same time. I mean, I wasn't ever muscular, like I am muscular, whatever. No, I wasn't like a yoke. No, but I was in shape. But I did a lot of the classes. I liked the classes and I like to lift weights. I hate with a passion cardio. I would lift weights for hours. Get me to do cardio. Ugh. It's like pulling teeth, but it was fun. And that's why I did the classes because it would give me my cardio. But yeah, no. And like, I love Ron, a community sweat box. Nope. I do think that with COVID though, it does give you a whole new perspective about the whole thing. Interesting. Calvin writes in this is probably the new way the wealthy can socialize and date. I'll even add to that, Calvin, also to like scope people out, right? I mean, So you're on all the dating apps and you want to know what somebody really truly looks like. So now all of a sudden you can see them work out. You can see what their body looks like. And I know this sounds very vain, but this is kind of the generation that we're living in right now, is just not everything, but a lot of things are so visual, whether it's your social media feed, how you look, how you look on your dating app, what you lie about, what you tell the truth about, all those sorts of things. Yeah. Eric writes in, when Levi Stadium first opened, a pass to Michael Mina's restaurant was $10,000 per season. It's probably more now. Yeah. I've never eaten in there. I did do one of those, just kind of a tangent on Michael Mina. I did go to one of those pre-party things before the game one time, and they served some of the food from Michael Mina's menu, and it was bomb. I think they had like a carving station and everything like that. It was really, really good. But I don't want to hang out all day at the gym. I'm looking at some of these pictures, though. I mean, it's like it's a nightclub, and then you're also working out. So this one place that they're talking about, Monarch Athletic Club, also based in Hollywood. I'm sensing a theme here. To join, an applicant must have a medical evaluation and physical therapy and training assessment. It's all done in-house with this Dr. Ryan Green, who specializes in this sort of thing.
That sounds weird.
Once an applicant gets past those checkpoints, they may be invited to pay a membership of between $600 and $2,000 per month. At the top tier, you receive unlimited personal training and physical therapy, IV therapy, access to physicians, ice baths, group fitness classes, and saunas. This could also take the place of, and I'm not saying completely, but that preventative health care too, right?
Yeah.
But I think if you're paying that much money, you probably have health care, right? You probably have a job that pays you health care. Hold on. What's this say? Oh, it's bars for the 2020s. That's interesting. I would not want to be in a bar in which I'm in spandex all day. Although some, I guess, women are. Just a different type of outfit. Yeah, the $20 per month hangout for now. Exactly. That's me. I'll hang out for $20, go in, go out. And Calvin says it's because of the Bachelor show. You like hunky men. I don't like big muscly men. I'm not knocking big muscly men. It's not my cup of tea. I like the kind of
Matthew McConaughey isn't a big muscly guy.
No, exactly. He's not. He's muscular,
Yeah.
but kind of, like the slimmer muscle type, which is just mine. If some girls love the huge, big muscles and like to be enveloped in those arms, I'm not going to yuck your yum. Knock yourself out. I'm just saying, if you're going to the gym to build muscles to impress me, you don't have to work so hard. That's all I'm saying. What about you, Kim? Do you like the muscly type of men?
No, not necessarily muscly. No, I don't think so. Not like the veins popping out all over muscly.
Oh yeah, no. Like that, I feel like that's like the bodybuilder type, right?
Yeah.
And again, not knocking bodybuilders. That is a lot of work, and to try and get your muscles where they pop out like that, and you got to tan your body. Did you know that all bodybuilders are supposed to tan? Do the fake tan because it shows off the definition better, apparently. I always wonder, like, why are all of them so like faked tan? And then someone explained it to me. They're like, it's because you see more of the definition than if you were just like a pale, pasty white. So there you go. Who knew? All right. Okay. So tomorrow, I did have something on the show for tomorrow. Oh, I wanted to talk about money. I didn't get to this. I have a couple of minutes. Good. I wanted to talk about this. Now, this was kind of a news of the bizarre. All right. On one hand, you think this is a great feel-good story. And then I read the article and I'm like, is it really? The headline is, a man who went missing in 2021 now found safe hundreds of miles away in Texas.
Did he just want to live a new life?
Thank you. So the whole story, I'm like, okay, did something happen? He was reported missing in October of 2022 when his dad said he left their Little Rock home without his wallet and cell phone. He's like, I knew something was wrong. And so they searched and they searched and they searched. And the family searched for him in court for more than a year. That doesn't make sense. They say he was missing in October of 2022. So I think they have the date wrong. I think they meant 2021. Until he was spotted in Texas earlier this month. Family told the TV station the 27-year-old was stopped by an officer, had ID, so he was able to figure that out, and authorities were unable to detain him because he had not committed a crime. Excuse me. They said they drove 7 hours to find him. They couldn't believe it. He was just walking down the beach. He had an umbrella, his glasses. He still had a COVID mask on. I'm thinking this guy didn't want to be found. I mean,
he just checked out.
But again, can you be missing when you're 27 years old and just don't want to live in Arkansas anymore? I mean, I guess it's rude to not tell your family.
I suppose you could be missing if you left your everything behind. You know, you could have had a mental crisis and be at real risk.
So, well, yes.
Or you could just decide, I'm checking out.
I don't want you to call me. Like,
sayonara,
here.
Suckers.
Sayonara, sucker. Yeah, it's just, it does seem to me, yeah. So they said, he's in Galveston, Texas, where he was found is nearly 500 miles southwest of Little Rock. It's unclear how McCord ended up in Texas. He went there. The mom says, yesterday I got to put my arms around my son, something I prayed hard for since October of 2021. They got the date right there. Harley is back with his family and my heart is full again. Maybe he just doesn't want to live in Arkansas anymore.
Well, it's really, I mean, it's really rude though. If you don't want to live in Arkansas anymore, at least leave a note and say, listen, I love you guys, suckers. But I'm sayonara, suckers, but I'm out. You know, I'm moving away. I'm taking these very few items with me.
Not my phone.
Feel
Don't
free
call
to
me.
dispose of anything else. I'm out. Nikki out. I mean, that's it, right? But don't just walk away without ever saying a word.
I know. Like, what if
your family's gonna freak out? They're gonna call the police. People love you when they're worried about you. That's, you know.
Would you be mad? I mean, I know there's the relief that you know where somebody is, but what if they're like, no, I just left? Would you be mad?
Yes.
I mean,
Wouldn't
I guess
you?
I would be mad, but I'd be like, what's going on? He's like, I tried to leave. Went 500 miles away from you people. Take a hint.
And
I
you
don't
still
want
found
to be
me.
found. Jeez Louise. All right. Well, I won't say bye without saying goodbye. But I will ask you to click the thumbs up button before the show ends. It helps grow the show. And please make sure you're subscribed right now while you're listening to the sound of my voice. Hit the subscribe and click the bell, because anytime I post new videos on the channel, you'll be notified. And so you won't miss a thing. You won't miss any of our conversation. The super chat always live. Thank you to everybody that's been donating to our Patreon. I really do appreciate it. Let's give some shout outs for the super chat. Kung Fu Femmes, Fight the Good Fight, Nikki and Kim with a $10 donation. Thank you so much. James Buchanan with a $5 super sticker. Thank you, James. My favorite name. And Gary with a $20 donation. Gary D and Sandy, happy Monday to you guys as well. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Again, it's totally crowdfunded, so any amount of money you throw our way, we appreciate, because we want to keep the show going. There's merchandise, there's new stuff up at the store, so check that out. And we will talk again tomorrow. Kim, please feel better.
I'll
love
try.
you. All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.